Ooh, the trade deadline's right around the corner, and it looks like the Jets might have a few assets that teams could be looking for. Let's explore this trade rumor. Could Bryce Hall be on the move?
Jets, Jets!
Welcome to Jets Talk. My name's Ryan. I'll be your pilot. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you've been here before, welcome back. I love having you here. Boys and girls, the trade deadline is set for November 1st, and it's going to be interesting to see what teams try to make some moves, trying to get better, trying to position themselves with draft picks, all that sorts of stuff as we move through these next 2 weeks or so leading up to the deadline. But the Jets have a player, and there's a little bit of a rumor going around. I want to talk about it because this one's interesting. Bryce Hall, our young cornerback, still only 25 years old. Now, let me read the tweet. I'll bring it up. Grain of salt with this one. This one comes from Heavy on Sports. Matthew Lombardo comes in and says, cornerback Bryce Hall is going to be made available at the trade deadline per sources. Hall, 24 years old, has seen his snaps cut dramatically after New York added DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner, but is 1 year removed from finishing second in forced incompletions and is best fit for man schemes. So the Jets have been running a lot of zone. They still tend to play man on third down in those pressure situations. And we've seen these guys, DJ Reed and Sauce, all over the place making plays. So it's an interesting thought process. Bryce Hall was one of those players, when we were watching the draft, we're like, man, this guy's fallen a lot farther than we expected. It'd be a really great pickup for us to get him. And he wound up being arguably our best draft pick, along with Braden Mann, depending on how you feel about the punter, in that draft class. Because Mekhi Becton can't stay healthy. Denzel Mims hasn't seen any playing time. And then you talk about P. Ryan and Clark and Morgan and Zuniga and all the guys that have been cut and moved on from in that class. And this one is interesting. He started all of last season, and it begs the question, hey, if the Jets did not draft Sauce Gardner, would he still be a starter here today? That's an interesting thought process, right? So let's go through this. If he's traded, the team taking on his contract would have 2 years remaining on his deal. It'd be less than $1 million for this year and about a little over $1 million for next year. So very, very cheap, affordable contract for a guy that started in a lot of games last season. Now, when Sauce Gardner went out this past weekend with the thought of possibly going into the concussion protocol and all that, they did not put Bryce Hall in. Now, I believe he was inactive for yesterday's game. I think he's only played in like 5 snaps this entire season. Like, he's been inactive most of the season. But the Jets are going with Brandon Echols, not Bryce Hall. So I guess it leaves me questioning, like, okay, do they, A, not trust him? Do they, B, possibly think they have a trade asset here, which would seem like this would fall into line? And this was one of the players we sort of talked about over the offseason, like, hey, could he be an option for other teams if we have like a really solid room? And for me, I don't want to trade Bryce Hall. I'll be honest. Like, I'd be happy if he never saw another snap in a New York Jet uniform. And that's not because I don't like him, the player, or him, the person, or anything like that. It's because I want DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner playing the entire time. And if someone does have to come in, I honestly do like Brandon Echols. I think they're making the right decision with him as their cornerback 3 when Reed or Sauce go out. On the other side of this coin, Sauce and Reed, if one of those guys go down, then Echols comes in, and what do you have for depth outside of that? Like, this guy is not worth anything in terms of salary cap space. The Jets don't need more draft picks. We have a ton of young players on this team already. What are you possibly going to get for Bryce Hall? Are you getting maybe so we drafted him in the 5th round. So if you assume maybe his increase in play, he was injured coming out of college, if you consider getting a 3rd round pick, yeah, I would pull the trigger on that. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think you'd be able to find a player in that 3rd round that you could plug into your offensive line next year. I'm okay with that. But if you're talking like a 4th or a 5th round pick that you're going to get for him, does that really make sense in anyone's mind? I really don't think it does. I think the value in having him as a emergency backup who has that starting experience is far more valuable than a 4th or 5th round pick that you would get from, some team looking to make a move for him. So I don't know. This one's interesting to me. I don't know if I buy it. It's not totally off base. I think it's possible, but I don't know. Guys, let me know how you feel about Bryce Hall. Do you think he gets traded at the deadline? Do you think the Jets should hold on to him? What do you think the Jets could get in return if they do make a trade with him? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets.